We were given one world to live on. Think about that. We are given this beautiful planet that can support life. Now think about how we live our daily lives and how most of the time we are the problem in destroying our planet and the environment. A couple years ago, I watched a film titled The Lowland Kids. This film is about the very first climate-related migration of people on Earth. On the Isle of Jean in Louisiana, people are already being forced to move due to rising waters. This is a problem for us all. Climate change is something that could truly be the end of us or the end of generations after us. If we do not stop climate change, we could find our future generations not able to live on this beautiful planet we call home. There are 3 things we can do that could help our planet and maybe reverse some of the damage we have already done. We need to limit our emissions of fossil fuels, protect the environments of plants and animals that benefit our world, as well as educate people on what is really happening when we talk about climate change. One of the biggest things destroying the atmosphere of the Earth is the emissions of fossil fuels. You may think that has nothing to do with someone like you, but it clearly does. We all can fight against this and make a change, but first you have to change what you're doing in your own life. Like instead of taking a car to work, ride your bike, or take public transportation. If this is not your style of helping, think about purchasing an electrical vehicle. Electric vehicles are becoming a commodity on our streets now. They are more affordable than ever now, and if we can look at our everyday life first, we can start the change right at home. According to NASA, the Earth's temperature, sea level, and carbon emissions have all risen in the last 100 years, a change we have never seen at a rate higher than anything ever recorded. This is a scary thought and could lead to irreversible damage to our world's environment and to the Earth's stratosphere. We can now look towards what is the biggest problem, which is our factory systems. Together we can elect people in office who are willing to fight against the corporations and change standards for factories and industry. Solomessel.com states that over 3 million tons of toxins are sent in the air per day in the United States. That is per day. If you think about it, it is completely nuts how much toxins we allow in the air, water, and ground. If something does not change, we can see catastrophic damage to the only planet we have. Some may say that the world is just going through normal protocol. A common argue to the greenhouse effect is that it is simply just how the world works. What I mean by that is that they believe that every so often, the Earth goes through changes making it either colder or warmer. The simple answer to this is that there is no record of this, and the Earth has been warming steadily for the last 100 years. Going back to NASA, scientists working in this field have said that if this were true, we'd most likely already see the trend line come to a curve, but the upward trend is so great that the only prediction we can make from now is that it will keep rising. Emissions and fossil fuels play a huge part in climate change. But what about the creatures that keep it thriving and livable? Another big problem we are facing is the deforestation of our planet. WorldWildlife.org shows us great examples of how destroying the homes of millions of creatures threatens our everyday lives. The article states that over 31% of our land is covered by forest. You may be asking, what do trees do to help climate change? It's really remarkable what place they play in all of this. Trees work as carbon sinks. This means they absorb carbon that we emit and they clean it. This turns it into pure oxygen that we breathe. By removing these trees, we are making it even harder for our world to correct the mistakes that we are making with our emissions. With organizations like World Wildlife, we can try and prevent the destruction of these key components on Earth. Something else happening that has been happening since 2014 is coral bleaching. This is a newer discovery of climate change, and we have already seen the effects of it. According to reefresilience.org, when a coral is bleached, it causes fish and other marine animals to leave and find new places for food and shelter. This has led to disappearances of fish that we catch and eat, in turn leading to lack of food supply in the fish category. Also, some people give their entire lives as fishermen, meaning they are losing on income due to this. This shows you that climate change affects us all, whether it be directly or somewhere down the chain. There's so much science that leads us to believe that climate change is really happening and that the lack of these creatures can really be harmful. Some people say that the lack of these creatures will only allow them to come back in stronger numbers, but that is the farthest thing from the truth. It's harder for these creatures to come back in numbers if they lack them in the first place. We have to stand for the life on this planet. It only will help us in the long run. Protecting our wildlife and their environment is so important, but what we have to do first is educate people on what is really happening. When we're honest, a common problem is the fact that not enough people know about climate change. A study done in the journal Nature Communications shows us a shocking truth about what Americans think about climate change. 80 to 90% of Americans underestimate the concern their fellow Americans have for climate change, meaning that there is no system of communication between people fighting for this cause. In reality, about 70% of Americans believe in making policies that help to fight climate change, but they believe only about 47% of their fellow Americans want that change. This is known as a psychological disconnect. This means that people do not believe they can change anything due to the fact that they think they're the only ones fighting for it. This is where education steps in. If these people knew the actual number of other Americans willing to help in fighting against climate change, it would help the collective group get things done. Simply educating people about how many people actually stand against climate change can make a huge difference. The Pew Research Center did a study to see how many people believe climate change is due to human activity. About 48% said it is due to human activity, but a whopping 51% that it said that it is either due to natural causes or that there is zero evidence at all for climate change. This is what the problem is. People not educated on the issue. 31% said it is from natural causes. Using information given by NASA earlier, we can see scientists have proven that natural causes cannot lead to this extent of temperature rising. Hoping people stumble across websites with information or flyers stating that facts is not enough. We have to educate at any opportunity we have to make sure people understand the true threat we are facing, and if we do something soon, we are all in danger. Now looking at the other 20% stating that there is no evidence pointing towards global warming being a thing. A problem we face is people simply not believing in science. All we can do is educate. That is all. We cannot prove science that has already been proven. Denial of the issue is something we cannot fight, so we must come together with those who know something is at least wrong or believe something can change. In conclusion, to avoid having catastrophic damage done to our Earth, we have to take action in limiting emissions of fossil fuels, protecting the environments of animals and plants that benefit us, and educating those who do not know what climate change really is. If we do not stop climate change, we could find our future generations not able to live on the beautiful planet we call home. The world is hurting. It is crying out for help against our actions, and now is the time to step up, now is the time to step out, and now is the time to change. I want my children and their children to live lives on the same beautiful planet that I got to experience. Let's stop climate change together and help our desperate planet. Thank you.